Spiritual woman is a woman that has the Spirit of God living on the inside of her and manifests that Spirit through her words and her deeds. Why it is imperative that we need to sink in and allow what we've learned from Paul to really sit in is because he is one of the strongest Christians that we have, or whose letters we read and we make reference to in this day and age, and will continue to make reference to. So it is important to know about that person. If you keep, in fact, his letters, arguments, all form of things have been done with Paul's letter, but there's one thing you cannot take from him, which is that he loved God. So if this man was just a radical for God, wanting to live out God's will, then we must all see the pattern. Pattern is a thing. It's not even just about what is said, but the pattern of what does spirituality mean for this person, or what was spirituality like for this person. A spiritual woman understands that what the Spirit of God is saying right now may not be in alignment with what the expectations of men are. Regardless, she chooses to be driven and directed by the Spirit of God rather than what is expected. So we can go to Luke 1. Luke 1 is our next destination for our Bible study. So I will move to let's see. I want to. So I'm going to move to Mary's story. So let's move to Luke 1 from verse 26. If you've heard me earlier on, I said I'm going to be reading from the Message translation. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to the Galilean village of Nazareth to a virgin engaged to be married to a man descended from David. His name was Joseph, and the virgin's name was Mary. Upon entering, Gabriel greeted her. "Good morning. You are beautiful with God's beauty, beautiful inside and out. God be with you." Mary was thoroughly shaken, wondering what was behind a greeting like that, especially from an angel. But the angel assured her, said, "Mary, you have nothing to fear. God has a surprise for you. You will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and you call his name Yeshua." English translation, Jesus, Yeshua. "It will be great and be called the Son of the Highest. The Lord God will give him the throne of his father David. He will rule Jacob's house forever, no end ever to his kingdom." Mary said to the angel, "But how? I have never slept with a man." And the angel answered, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you. The power of the Highest will hover over you. Therefore, the child you bring to birth will be called Holy Son of God. And did you know that your cousin Elizabeth conceived a son, old as she is?" Please, I want you to listen to the pattern. And I'll prefer you to also even be reading from your own Bible as well. So, and did you know that your cousin Elizabeth conceived a son, old as she is? Everyone called her barren. Everyone had called her barren, like they had concluded Elizabeth's case on her behalf. And here she is, 6 months pregnant. Nothing you see is impossible with God. And Mary said, "Yes, I see it all now. I am the Lord's maid, ready to serve. Let it be to me just as you say." And then the angel left her. I'll say it again, what Mary said. Mary said, "Yes, I see it all now. I am the Lord's maid, ready to serve. Let it be to me just as you have said." I want us to, there's no way, if you're a Christian, if you've been a Christian for some years, you would have heard, there's no part of the Bible, hardly any part of the Bible you will not have heard, but you know why we read the Bible again and again and again and again. There's always something new, no matter how much you've heard it or you've read it. A spiritual woman is a woman that is ready to serve. And service has different branches. There are different branches to service. There's a service which, again, I'm saying a lot of this in Nigerian and African context, which is also noble. There's a service of maybe serving in a unit, serving in a church, serving in an organization, serving in diverse ways, and that is noble. There's also the service of submitting to a hard will that God has called you into. That's your own life now. It's not just what you're doing for people, but your own life, submitting. If you follow my writing in any way, one of the ways I started writing stories by Sage Neil was through this story. It just fascinated me, and there are different ways that the Lord has called me to express His word. Apart from Bible studies like this, also writing stories is one way. It fascinated me, and I do not think that many people have sat in with this to realize that it was a big deal back then. Maybe now people would you're pregnant before my day, just leave you. No, it was a big deal back then to claim you are a virgin and be pregnant. I want you to even picture it for a while. Just picture it. In these days of Insta blog Nigeria, Yaba left. You say you are a virgin. You know you have a private visitation by the Lord. And you know that there's nothing you want to do. There's no explanation. There's no interview you want to go for. Nobody is going to know the fruition and the fullness of that birth and that pregnancy you are carrying until at least 30 plus the time, maybe 34 years. What are you going to do? One of the reasons why people also did not like Jesus is not only because he was bold, it's because they also thought he just did not have a father. Let me not use the contemporary word that people use. It was like, who is this? Where is this one come from? So many people had that bias about Jesus. But what I want us to focus on is what Mary was called to do was very difficult. And so we see all this happen. It had one line. Maybe if you're reading from a physical Bible like I have here, just between two seconds, you've moved to the yes, I see it all. I am the Lord's maid. But it's not that simple. So my own question to you is, so we can talk around the scriptures. I said I was going to do something. Okay, I'll do it in between. I wanted to talk about the importance of a Bible study, but I will do it in between or maybe towards the end. So the point of what I'm saying is, what is God asking? What consecration is God asking of you in your own private life that doesn't necessarily make sense to many people? It will make sense to some people. It makes sense to some people. Mary's virgin pregnancy made sense to Elizabeth, so it wasn't. It's not. Don't feel like, oh my God, I'll just be under my bed. Nobody will talk to me. No, that's not how God naturally creates life. He will always create an Elizabeth or Elizabeths that would understand the assignments and will say, you know what, let them all be talking, but we know what it is that God has called you for and called you to. And likewise, when you look at Elizabeth, she was already considered barren. They had finished the case for her. They've posted her all over Insta blog and everywhere. That's it. That's the end of her womb. When they help you to package your life and you're just moving ahead. Like that's it. That's the conclusion. And then God said that He wanted different. And I believe I've said this before on radio, but I'm not sure if I've said it like via a teaching like this. I want to say something about childbearing that Elizabeth's story taught me and is important for every woman. Whether you have a child now, you don't have a child, you also have a child, you adopt, whatever it is you're going to do. Children, from what we can learn from the Bible, just like Bible said, they are arrows sent from God. They are prepared by God for a specific time and era. If Elizabeth wanted to be the mother of John, she would have to wait until Jesus was ready to come. I'll say that again. If Elizabeth, okay, if she wanted that special assignment, the Bible tells us that there are many vessels. There are many vessels. Which vessel do you want to be? That one is up to you. If Elizabeth wanted to be the mother of John the Baptist, who was going to be born 6 months before Jesus, inevitably, because he was the forerunner of Jesus, and they couldn't be too far apart, Elizabeth needed to wait. Elizabeth needed to wait for that era, because that was the time and that was the fullness of time that John was already set to come, or was set to come at that time. And if Mary was going to give birth to God's will, then she needed to hurry. Are you seeing something? So on one person's part, the person needed to wait. On another person's part, it looks as if she needed to hurry, like it's been like she needed to do it before time or before the expected time. What does that teach us? Your timeline and your clock is nonsense to God. I just have to say it that way so that it sticks. It's absolutely nonsense. And if the Bible doesn't teach us that, I don't know where we want to learn it from again. I mean, by all means, we should work with time to do what we need to. Okay, this time to this time is Bible study, this time to this time is prayers, this time to this time we have to go and cook, this time to this time we need to go out for work. But if you want to be a spiritual woman, a real spiritual woman, I don't mean the ones, I'll still debunk the ones that we have in Africa. If you really want to be a spiritual woman, I said there's one, I said it in a way that rhymed, but it's actually very serious. You have to be willing to submit in accordance with His will. So back to what I was saying, I was sharing a revelation about just children generally, and then we'll continue what we are saying. So one person had to wait, one person had to be fast, and it's just not working for just life and people, the onlookers in life, because they have some certain expectation. And this one is too fast, she's a teenager, this one is so old, she's an old mama, and what are you doing? But God has something that is creating and is birthing, and it doesn't have to do with anybody's emotions and how they're feeling. If you are ready for the will of God, do. If you are not ready, leave it. And so the point is, these two guys come at this time and come by women that are ready to birth them. And that is just what it is. Like, it is what it is, and they both accept, and they are delivered. John is delivered, and then Jesus a month later. At the end of the day, the most important thing is that we see them fulfill God's will, and that is the essence of childbearing. So if you are on a journey with God, whether you want to call it waiting on God, however it is, if you're on a journey with God, know that His purpose will always override what it is that people feel, or how it is that people should hurry or not hurry. If you're on a journey with God. So a spiritual woman is a woman that is ready to serve. And ready to serve is, first of all, with private consecrations. Let's move to the other points. I do hope that you are learning. I want to believe so. I need to get another fan. This is hot. Please, one moment. Let me just get the other fan. This fan just died. I'll be back. 1 moment. Okay, all right. Thank you for your patience. These are some of the things you do when you're in a country without consistent light. Okay, water. I hope you use the break to drink water as well. Most importantly, I hope that you're learning something. The essence of our coming together is to grow from strength to strength and in revelation knowledge, so that we can become stronger and better women, and we're enabled, equipped, and oiled to actually deliver God's will. Okay. Like I said, a spiritual woman is a woman who understands what the Spirit of God is saying. It may not be in alignment or with the expectations of men, but regardless, she chooses to be driven and directed by the Spirit of God rather than what is expected. I've already taken. Okay, so we also have, briefly, I won't read it, but I'll just mention it, the story of Saul in the Bible, King Saul, who God replaced. And many times this generation, we forget that God did it in the time of Saul. He can do it again. God did it in the time of Saul. He can do it again. If you are because spirituality comes with discipline and seriousness. Just like I wrote here, a spiritual woman understands that God is judge and the kingdom is not a joke. It is true that God is our Father. It is true that God is our lover. It is true that God is He cares for us. What are all those other words that we also find? It is very true. But it's also true that God is judge, God is king, and His kingdom is not a joke to Him and shouldn't be a joke to us. So there are certain things that other people allow to slide that we shouldn't joke with in the kingdom. Whether it's from as little as cleavage opening, as just an example, because they'll say it's from clap that dance, and it's from clap that dance used to start, something like that. So as big as what, lying or fraud, whatever the case may be, it's always important to reference and reverence God. A spiritual woman is a woman that has been made in the image of God and is thriving daily in becoming and representing more of that image of God. Now, in WONDIVA, we shared many about yourself in Him, Himself in you. All of those, we shared a lot of that Bible study, and we have the archive, and I was working on it before this Bible study, and we're going to make it, whether in the form of a book or in the form of a blog post, we're going to make it available, because those teachings are very important, so that when we say it's a woman that's made in the image of God, it's not just flying over a person's head, like the person doesn't understand what that means. No, we've broken that out over the past. We've been doing Bible study in WONDIVA now at least once every year, and we don't do Bible study once every year. We do it more than once, but at least once every year. And we've broken down that concept over the last 5 years. So you should look out for that. I would actually speed that up and prioritize getting those Bible studies, past Bible study material out in one way or the other. But again, like I said, that has been broken down there. A spiritual woman is a woman that has been made in the image of God and is thriving daily in becoming and representing more of that image.